Hit that
Nah, I
intro
was
up
just
too.
waiting. I'm waiting for him to get the other one up.
Oh, Sham?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You
Okay.
remember what happened that one time?
Yeah, I missed that podcast.
That podcast was awesome, but it didn't happen because there was no proof.
There we go.
All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Everyday Black Man Podcast for authentic black male thoughts. You have your boy Riker, Reed,
Read.
Sham. Follow us on Twitter at EVYD Black Man, Instagram Everyday Black Man, Everyday Black Man Facebook page. We also have a Patreon, EBMP, and it is full of all the greatest stuff. We have special episodes that only debut there. At the same time, today we have Professor Nware, who is here, who is going to be talking about fathers and how mothers sometimes do not allow them to, be active in their child's life. And we want to dive into that topic today, of course, on Father's Day. So, with all of that set aside, Dr. Nware, would you like to introduce yourself so that the people can know a little bit about you and what you do?
Okay. Well, I'm not a doctor yet, but
Professor.
I am a professor all the least. So my name is Professor Nware Burge. I am from hailing from Newark, New Jersey. Although today I'm in Washington D.C. at a family reunion. I am an award-winning documentary filmmaker of the film called DNA, using genealogy to change my slave last name. And I would sort of get into that narrative, but we're not here to talk about that. I teach Africana studies, sociology and anthropology, history, political science at Keene University in New Jersey, as well as Essex County in New Jersey and Medgar Evers College in Brooklyn, New York. Uh, I am divorced. I have 5 children, so I'm really going to try to stay on the topic. Uh, uh, 5 kids that I haven't seen in, I would say, 7 years. Well, I would say 4 kids I haven't seen in 7 years. And then the oldest, I have kind of an estranged relationship, but love them all, uh, dearly. Love them completely with everything. Um, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, you're coming in great.
Okay. Okay. Great. Great. So, as far as anything in regards to myself, because of the film, I've lectured and spoke at places like Oxford University, University of Helsinki in Finland, London, all over the world in regards to the former topic of the other documentary. This new documentary is titled "For Mothers Who Won't Let Fathers See Their Children," and I felt like most films and marketing in film, the title should always be one name, 2 names, maybe 3. Or I would say words, 1 word, maybe 2 words, maybe 3 or 4 in the title. So, for example, my other film is titled DNA. I have another film I'm working on titled Our God is Black, and the other one is titled Black Beaches. So this one I couldn't just title For Mothers, right? For marketing, it needed to be the whole title, almost like for Color Girls when the rainbow isn't enough, and that whole long title. It needed to be a title that told you exactly what the issue is. And so a couple of reasons why I don't want to kind of jump around. I don't know if you have maybe any questions set, or if
Yeah.
you want me to continue to speak. So
So,
go ahead.
yeah, you mentioned something. So, number one, there's this natural reflex. As soon as you
Yeah.
say you haven't seen your kids in like in our community in like 5 or so years, I can't remember the exact time. My apologies.
Mhm,
I bet you've heard this before. If you
mhm,
really wanted to see your kids, you'll see them. But
mhm,
being at my age,
mhm,
and that I know what black men go through to see their kids, be it the
mhm,
state and then the family.
mhm,
I know that's not true. All right. So, I mean,
mhm,
I know plenty of cases. I have a friend, similar situation. Him and well, they weren't married, didn't work out,
mhm,
and she's done
mhm,
everything in her power to make sure the child's not around. But why
mhm.
do you think black people have that? Well, I ain't gonna say black people. Yes, I am. Black people have that natural inclination to be like, well, if you really wanted to see them, you'll just fight harder.
Well, I think this whole issue around our lovely, beautiful black sisters, right,
Okay,
is still synonymous with white supremacy. I think it runs
I agree.
in alignment. So where you'll have, for example, if you do some, and this study has been done before, where you have these white people who say, "Oh, there's no racism," but there's been polls done. If they ask you, "Would you want to be black?" and and I'm being vague here in regards to the polling and the title of that poll. If you would you want to be black or white? And of course, there's this high percentage of them wanting to be white, understanding specifically what black people go through, right? So it's not really some genetic thing. It could be a little bit of that, but for the most part, whites who say there's no racism or moderate understand that if you're black, you go through a whole different life here, regardless if they say they aren't racist or et cetera, et cetera. I feel like the same with this scenario, right? You'll have people who will say, "Oh, you really could see your kids," or there must be something else going on. But yet, when people give this title, when I give this title to people, white, black, woman, child, 95% of them so far over this past year and a half, they go right into a story, right directly into a story of somebody they know, somebody personal, or some scenario. It's rare that you have people that will just blame it on the men and say it's just the men, the men. So, and I don't know if that was a good analogy, but they kind of know what's going on. But some people will choose to cognitively choose that that's not the case and then come up with all these scenarios if you really want to see them. And I would have said the same thing when I was married. Um, until I got on the other side and had all of these, tumultuous issues that happen around the children and relationships and these things that people go through, it kind of let me really understand what black men and fathers are going through. So it wasn't like I was blame the man, blame the man, blame the man, but I was like on a more accountability thing versus the women. Now being on
Right.
the other side, and I have a couple other friends who now were married and had a certain viewpoint, and then when they went through the storm and came out on the other side, then they had a different vision of who and what controls that, specifically the scenario of seeing children or how men treat women, all these other things, seeing the accountability that sometimes women don't take
Can I
and
ask you a
aren't blamed
question?
for. Yes, yes.
So, with that said, I believe like the black diaspora, at least in America, is split. There's black people and then there's black women. And for
Hmm.
me, any kind of legal fight, whatever, requires us to work in unity, which I've seen black feminists say our fights are different. Our fights are the same. You have sons, you have brothers, you have uncles. If they're up, more than likely you'll be up because black men typically, statistically, marry black women. But my whole thing is just to separate us again. Men, white men, white men are going through the same thing, but why aren't they doing anything about it as well?
Hmm. Well, I don't know if I would. It's a different social psychology with
Okay,
the American experience. At least that's my theory and how I would see it. Not saying that I'm 1,000% right.
it's a
How they
theory.
handle, yeah, they how they handle their household and their politics, both private and in the public, is different from Black America. Now, there could be some similarities, but
Right.
it's a bit different. Again, and we've probably seen this played out in social media, YouTube channels. You just don't have the white woman or the Asian woman or all these other things with this kind of anti-Asian man, white man rhetoric. Indian woman, anti-Indian man. You just don't have it. So, however the dynamics plays out within those court systems, the marriages or the divorces or the child custody and all those things. And I hope I'm getting to your answer.
Yeah. My hold on. Hold on.
Go ahead, Reed. We're still here with you. We'll let you get your question out.
Ain't never gonna get the question out. We'll be waiting till tomorrow. Gonna be the day after Father's Day. We can still be trying to ask this question.
A few minutes later.
Okay, so this goes back to something my dad told me, and he was in school, and like, what is it called? Segregation had just ended, and they were laughing at all the black kids when they had holes in their pants. And then,
Mhm,
I think everybody heard this little story. I don't know if it was him. And then he was like,
mhm,
"Well, we all, they were all poor, but they were laughing at them like black kids. You got holes in your pants, ha 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 ha." That kind of goes back to white supremacy, where you'll have holes in your pants too, but you don't care. At least you're white, so you don't think you're going through the same thing because you're white. Like, yeah, that kind of goes back to it.
Do you think that you don't have the same thing going on, or you know you don't have the same thing going on?
No, they don't. They don't see it as the same because they're white. Meaning, like they have some of the same issues, but I believe, of course, that if you're white, you don't look at it as the same struggle. Thereby, you would never do anything about it. Kind of like poor
Yeah,
people. They're
yeah.
just as poor as black people. A lot of them, but they still
Well,
believe you got to, work your way from the bottom and blah 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 blah. And there
yeah,
was nothing. There was no
bootstraps.
force opposing them. But
Yeah, bootstraps.
yeah,
That whole thing.
they
Yeah.
really
I don't see
believe that.
nothing wrong with bootstraps, though. I don't see nothing wrong with bootstraps.
No, that's
Well,
you weren't here
Yeah,
for the
well,
whole
well, well,
conversation.
well without a context,
Correct.
there's an
Nah,
issue with bootstraps. Without a
Correct.
context.
You're not listening to the context. You had to be here.
Mhm.
Meaning that the way that their separations from their family, they don't look at it as the same thing, even though they're going through the same thing that black men go through.
Yeah, because I don't have issues with bootstraps either, but
Me either.
in the context, So,
they kind of
but
uncomfortable.
but when we I think you're asking I was trying to answer a question in regards to, I think you said the difference between what white fathers dealing with
The
relationships.
same
I think.
issues. Correct. The same
Yeah,
issues, and the,
correct,
the
yeah,
correct.
results are, I
yeah.
think, similar, right? They have to be similar because it's the court system.
Well, yeah. What I was stating was just the fact that how it's different with, for example, you don't have the Asian woman, the white woman, the Pakistani woman, the whatever, saying, "Hey, white fathers are this or Asian fathers are that." So the social political dynamics is totally different in how the court systems handle them, how they're viewed in life and society. So yeah, there's similarities in what we deal with, but it's viewed differently. So when you say deadbeat dad, black father comes up, or the black image, or certain psychological things. When you say the word, when they say, "What's the first thing you think?" This is what's going to come up, and this could be of any ethnic group. But why is that? So I think it's a social political thing that affects black men a little differently as we go through the same issues of life as other people. And I think this is no different with the father's situation and not seeing kids and divorces and whatever scenarios that we deal with women.
Would you? I have a thought about that. I guess. Would you? I guess in my head, one aspect of that situation is not necessarily the social aspect, but the marketing of it. Like it's not
Hmm.
marketable for other
Hmm.
races to get out
Hmm.
and say
Hmm.
such such. So I have heard these things from other races. However, I do not see these things being said on a platform. And we are one of
Not
the
at
only races
all.
where it has been a platform and
Not
it's
at all.
held up. It's marketable.
Not at all. Well,
And then everyone
I
says, "Woe is me," or
well
look how hard the black woman had to because the black man is so bad.
yeah. And when you maybe have a thought when you say marketing and stuff, and I teach a course called Films of the African World Experience. I teach different type of Africans in the courses, all this stuff, anthropology, all this stuff. And when you said marketing, right? And I often say there's always been this infatuation from the Western world, in the Western world, Europeans, whites, whatever you want to say, with Black life. African continental Africans, the African American, positively in our music, our hip hop, all these other things, but the negative stuff, as they like to propagate and promote, like our culture could be doctors, lawyers, scholars, artisans, and all this, but we'll seem to be scapegoated into this being, you know, gangbangers, twerkers, or whatever in the minds of certain people. Although we know we have this vastness of who we are. So when it comes to this issue around the Black father and all these things, it's a marketing thing to talk about us being deadbeats. It's they use that